Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the racing simulator build, the Indoor Supra. So I've decided I want to try and mount the pedals swung. So what I've done, I've got a couple of bars and I've notched them out. They're going to go like that. I've got to play around with the pitch a little bit before I fully weld it. But what I'm doing right now is I'm just drilling some holes in, and I've got some weld nuts. And I'm just going to tack those in there to get the pedals mounted to these, and then that'll get my spacing nice, and then I can mount that nice and use something to prop it up and decide on the final angle before I tack them in. And then I'll probably run some gussets from the side just because I think it'll look quite cool for a bit of strength, so I don't push it over. And I left a little extra length on the top, because this is not how you should do things. You should, I guess, decide how you want to do it and then do it. I'm kind of winging it. So I've left a bit of length on the top so that if I want to, so I've already got this structure coming up and I'm going to have gusseted there. So I could extend it up further and use that for the wheel base as well as the pedal base, and then maybe just put another couple of bends down to give it a bit more strength there. But yeah, I'll get that pedals situated first and then start mocking up the dash, and then I'll mock up where the actual steering wheel is going to fit. So something about planning things out and measuring things before we start. So the mounting hole there and the mounting hole there aren't quite actually aligned, so what I'm going to do is I'll do the same up the top with a weld nut for these top mounts, and then what I'll do is I'll run a strap, a bit of flat bar between these two, so that I'll probably just use the brake pedal in the centre and use that to mount the base of it to stop it flopping about. That's the two weld nuts welded on. So now I'll get my set position for that in a second. But I'm just going to measure this up and quickly cut a bit of flat bar to put between here in the meantime while it cools down. I've got that tacked on there now, so I'm reasonably happy with the pedal feel now compared to how it was before when it was swung. I'm obviously got my feet on the floor, and this will be a little bit higher than it would be, but simulate the floor is probably a pretty good height. I don't think I've quite got it right, seat height to pedal height in relation to my actual vehicle, but it does actually feel quite comfortable. If anything, I might just have to space this seat up just a touch, or not run a floor. But yeah, I'm going to continue to weld those on now and shape up some parts for the side. So my next job, which is probably rather unnecessary, is I'm going to add some bar, triangulate from there to there to add a bit more strength. So this is the notch I've ended up with, so it's not on a completely straight angle because it's going to sit on an angle, but fits up pretty well. So now I've just got to repeat that for the other side. So I've got the first one all fully notched up now. Sits in something like that. triangulate that all together. So now I've got to make another one. So I've got the braces for the pedals tacked on now. So it's probably unnecessary. I don't know, it depends on how hard I go on the brakes, I guess. But that should be pretty damn solid. Time to get a bit more work done on this. So I've welded on these parts here. The steering wheel is going to mount on that. That is just the old brackets that I used for my desk. I probably won't use that at all, probably remake something else. Well, I did end up using this bracket. I'm going to add some bracing to it. It's just tacked in at the moment. Just been working on mounting the dash, so sort of slotted out these holes a bit more to slide on over here. I'll put the dash on. It's too difficult to do one-handed, and I'll show you roughly how it's going to sit. So there it is. It's roughly just cable tied in place at the moment. I'll just make up a wee bracket to go from there to there and find another point on it, which is going to be somewhat easy to make another bracket. Probably going to do a little bit of trimming in behind here as well, just to allow me the freedom to, because it still needs to be tweaked a little. Yeah, it's my my mini Supra. Shifter sort of dummy set in there now. Don't think the angles are quite the same as my car. I feel like my field of view of the dashboard is a little bit different. So in my actual car, the wheel might be pitched up a bit more. That's not the end of the world. I can modify those brackets a little bit to allow me to be able to lift it up a bit more, because I think that's all the difference is. I think the height's right. The dash is roughly right, but yeah, I think I just normally have the wheel on a bit more of an angle. Really? It's alright. I'm about to pull it off anyway. A bit more of an angle in my actual car. So I've just made one wee bracket there, which I'm about to tack weld onto the frame, which will hold at least the dash at one point, and then I'll focus a little bit more on making sure it's level and squared up nicely, and make one on the opposing side. I don't know what I'll mount to yet. I'll figure something out. I'll probably get something up in here. It's probably a bit dark for you to see, but I'll probably get something up in here, and then obviously I'm going to have a shifter plate down there, so there's going to be a bracket coming up there, and I'll have it mount to that as well. It doesn't need to be super secure, just enough that it doesn't rattle and annoy me. So I've scalloped out one bar, and I have checked. Fits nicely like that. Doesn't get in the way of my foot. I might end up triangulating it there too. Extra strength, and plus it'll kind of look quite cool. But yeah, just double checked that fits nicely both sides, so yay for me being symmetrical, so I can copy the scalloping I did on this one onto this one and weld those in. And that is the braces tacked in place now. I'm going to head off to work, so I don't really have time to do it, so I might end up putting another diagonal down there. Just didn't want anything in the way of the feet, and I didn't want it coming straight down, being in the way of the dashboard itself. I thought it'll look quite cool anyway, having a whole pile of triangulated things rather than just one square. I've collected a couple more pieces. They're not all here yet, but most importantly, I picked up a center console today. So last time all I'd done is I just welded on one tab for holding the dash. I've just got that tacked in there for now. And yeah, just picked up this center console today, and I think that totally finishes it. Like, I'm glad I got that, because that really rounds it off. Even though I don't actually have one on my actual Supra, it's going to look pretty sick. So I've also organised a factory door card as well, so I'm going to make a door enclosure at some point, not straight away, that'll be part 2 of the build. I want to get home and start using it, to be honest. But yeah, God, the immersion, having a fully enclosed door and center console is going to be pretty sick. So just working on hydraulic handbrake and shifter position at the moment. So this will actually work pretty nicely for a hydro extension. Go up something like that. Obviously not that long, but in my actual car the handbrake position is probably about there. But I'll be honest, I don't want to cut this. It's actually all in quite good condition, so I want to try and leave it. So I mount it further back slightly here, but I'm just going to put this on an angle so that it sits more where my factory one would be. But yeah, it's just working on the shifter as well. This is obviously going to be nowhere near long enough if that's mounted down there on that plate. So I went to go get a bit of metal to extend it and found that in scrap pile. This is a shifter of some description, but it's actually the same thread. So that thread's in there, so I've just got to weld that on there, extend that, and I've got a long boy shifter, so I'll just quickly tack that up now. Yeah, actually really excited for this build, eh? It's like I get to build a new car without actually having to find storage for a new car. Welded on the extension now, so I officially have a big long boy. It's probably actually pretty close to the height of the Samsonite in my car, so that's pretty sick actually. So yeah. Then we got another long boy here. Looking pretty good. So I didn't film any of it, but I added a shifter plate. That's just a mounting point for the center console. One of anyway. I need to add another one back here, but I can just shove a bit of wood under there for now. There's still a couple of welds that need to be done, but this is, I'd say, my V1 of it, of the actual base frame. I might add some triangulation from here to there. Depends on how flexy it is. Definitely need to add some onto these because they're just a bit thin. And I do want to add some more bosses for seatbelt harnesses, harness bar, and a few other bits and pieces, and a door. But to be honest, I just wanted to use it, so that is my base frame done for now. I'm going to go drag in the other bits and pieces and throw away my wooden one and try and set this up. Right, moment of truth, time to fit all this stuff back together. I'll probably nip to the garage and grab some cable ties for a bit of cable management, and join this all together and see if it fits in my little spot. Got the shifter and the hydro mounted now. I forgot to cut that down, so I do need to cut that down at some point because it is too tall. But yeah, I might chuck a stiffer spring in that hydro, just give a bit more resistance. And now obviously I've got so much more leverage on this. I'm glad I got one that's really stiff, but I might have to look at doing something to stiffen that up as well. But nice bit of cable management, just all tied down the side here and up through the pedals and down, and then all my USBs just coming out down here. So now to chuck on the wheel and run that cabling, and then put on the seat, and then start putting the dash together. Well, there it is, it fits. I still probably want to get a big screen for directly in front. I definitely need to adjust the angle of that steering wheel, that's very wrong. It's way too low, it needs to be way higher. But that's just drilling a couple of holes, cut down the hydro, and here is my tablet I just need some Velcro or something to stick it there, and we'll make a wee bracket, one of the two. And yeah, I've got a lid coming for there, so I can store my controllers and such in there.